Dependable girl. Everything is working out for my good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for loving me. Not in you be. You are A to Z. And everything in between, Lord. I can never stop thanking you, Father. You are so great and deserve greatly to be praised. Father, in this moment, I lift you the highest that can be, Father. I thank you the most that I can, Father. You've taken me on a journey that I never deserved, and you gracefully blessed me, Father, with something my heart has been longing for. Something only I could dream of, Father. When you work, nothing can stop you. When you speak, nothing can go against what you say. And I thank you for that, Father. I thank you for being you. Y'all, I am so happy to be doing this video. This is not gonna be like an aesthetic video or anything. It's just gonna be me talking about God's glory and how he blessed me with an apartment, the apartment of my dreams, an apartment that almost 2 months later, I can't believe that I'm here, but I have no choice but to believe it. Yeah, I want to just get started on this video. If you don't know me, I'm Daphne. This is my vlog channel. Vlogging is my passion, and I would love it if you were to subscribe. I do have an apartment tour that's already up, so you guys can watch that too, but this is how God blessed me with an apartment. I want to start by saying I've never had an encounter with God like this one. This encounter was so personal, so surreal, and it was just no way that it wasn't God. So we are currently in March 2023, but last year, around February timeframe, 2022, or March actually, my man and I went to go to get an apartment. So we toured it. It was small. It was a 1-bedroom. It was in a cool area. Like, it was fine, but we toured it and we were like, okay, this place looks good, but we don't think this is it for us. Like, the thing is, in life, you could either settle or try to go after what you want, right? So this was like innocent. Like, we didn't think, oh, we're gonna be living in a luxury apartment. Oh, this is the plan. Like, we never thought that, but we just thought, okay, you know what? This apartment is nice. And the leasing office person, I think his name was Daryl or something like that. Daryl was the kindest, sweetest man ever. And it would just be a dream to live in that apartment having Daryl there. You get me? So Daryl was phenomenal, fantastic. We actually gotta go and leave a review for him because he's just amazing. But we're not staying there, but still I want to leave a review. But basically, it was just like an ideal place for the situation that we were in when it came to our financial situation, or basically our needs were going to be met at that apartment. It was just significantly smaller and like a bit of a downgrade, I'm gonna be honest, but it was still nice. It was like a nice apartment, you get me? So we were like, you know what, Daryl, thank you so much for the tour, but we don't want to waste your time. We can't apply. We're just not ready. We just wanted to tour it, you get me? But I was really sad because I wanted this to be the apartment. I wanted to move out already because my man had proposed to me. Don't forget, this is all happening in March. My man had proposed to me in December time frame. So I really wanted to live with him already and just get our life going. But we decided we're gonna save up. We're gonna do the financially smart decision and just wait. We're in my mother's house. She's not bothering us. We're just gonna wait, okay? Time flies by, time flies by. So God has gotten me out of a depressive mind state. When I used to live by myself before, like 2 years ago, I used to have really bad depression. I wouldn't talk to family. I would just isolate myself, and it was just really bad. So leaving that apartment, God actually healed my mind and healed my depression, and I've never been able to get back to how bad I was before, because whenever God heals you, he heals you for good. So if you guys hear any noise, probably people walking their dogs. I don't know why the dogs are barking and stuff, but yeah, anyways, God heals you for good. So with my healing, I started learning about manifesting and manifestation. And I'm a Christian, and you guys know manifesting and Christianity, they don't really blend well, but I felt like, weirdly enough, I felt like God wanted me to see and like learn about manifesting, right? So I just automatically had an interest of manifesting and your mindset and everything like that. I felt like God wanted me to just learn about it, right? Because he trusts me enough to not get into it so deep where I replace him, you get me? But he just wanted me to learn about it. I feel like for every one of God's children, he knows how to maneuver them and how to instill a stronger sense of faith in them. And with me, this was his approach. So I started learning about manifesting, and it completely intrigued me. And at the same time, my older brother was also learning about manifesting. It's like everything was just flowing, right? So I got to a point where manifesting became weird because people started talking about, oh, we are our own God, we are the source for everything that we need, or whatever I was learning from was saying that the source is from the universe. And so that's when I talked to my man and I said, babe, I think I should take a step back from this whole manifesting thing, this whole, you get me, and just pray to God, ask God, what does he want me to do? Because I really, really enjoyed meditating. Whenever I meditated, I had the same feeling of being filled with the Holy Spirit. So I know it was something godly in manifesting, but I didn't want to get too deep where I'm relying on the universe for something and not my God. You get me? So I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fast from meditating, like, because I don't need anything if God is not in it. You get me? At the end of the day, I have one goal, and that is to be with my Father at the end of my life. I don't want anything to jeopardize that. You get me? So whatever. I'm basically like, okay, I'm taking a break. I took a break and I prayed to God. I took like a 2-month break because I was not playing. But after that, I felt like God wanted me to get back to it. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to get back to it. But this time, whatever I'm learning from, the source, whatever it says, the source is the universe, I'm going to replace it with God. Because manifesting and faith, they are so similar. And in a way, the Bible talks about manifesting, and the word manifesting, it means to be or to become, to like you are it. You get me? So that's having faith. Whenever you have faith, the Bible even says act like you already have what you're asking for, and that's essentially what manifesting is too. You get me? So it's like a whole thing. If you guys want like a video on manifesting and faith and everything and how I've been able to use it in a Christian way and just learn about faith and how to properly have faith in a world full of doubt, then let me know. But yeah, I basically, you know what, the main reason why I'm telling you guys this is because I basically want you to know I got into manifesting, meditating, and faith, and everything that ties all that together is God. So I want you guys to know that. Okay, keep that in mind. So my fiance's birthday was coming up pretty soon. It was in August, and I needed to do something big for him because the prior years I've just been doing small things. Like I took him out, you get me, like a whole day of fun, like all that. But like to me that's small because I love you and I want to show you I love you, and he's always flying me out of country, y'all. So I'm like, no, okay, I'm gonna do something big for him this time. And by the way, this is all tying into the apartment story. So like I said, it's gonna be a longer video, but every detail matters. I want you to see how far God grabbed me. Like God's plans are so elaborate. Regular people or just people in general, you cannot come up with something like this. Like God is just so brilliant, and I like to say he's so crazy, but in the best way possible. Basically, for my man's birthday, I decided, okay, I'm gonna take him on a cruise, y'all. That cruise was so expensive, and I only had 2 months to come up with the money, right? So I lived with my mom at the time, but I still had bills to take care of and everything like that. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like what am I gonna do? How am I gonna come up with this money? The total cost would be around $2,000. Like that's 100% a lot, and on top of that, I had to provide for every day that we were on a cruise together. So I'm like, oh my goodness, God, I've been on this journey with manifesting and faith and meditating and just knowing that you are God and you are able to do anything as long as I believe in you and I apply my faith. You could do anything for me. So I'm like, you know what? Something is telling me to do this for my man. So I decided to put faith first, and I got to it. Like I started calling the reps for the cruise and everything like that. And as it was happening, y'all, like I just had to do it because I'm like, I've been learning about all this manifesting stuff, and I'm like, let me just do a big test to see if this actually works. Like in a way, I knew it was gonna work, but at the same time, I'm like, would it work? Like everything that I'm learning makes sense, but would it actually work? I ended up going on the site and putting a deposit down, and you already know, if you put a deposit down and you don't pay for everything, they're gonna charge you even more money on top of the $2K that I was needing to pay, right? So, oh my gosh, this was like the biggest, boldest move of faith because I put a deposit down. Like there's no going back. At that time frame, I was not getting many sponsorships at all. I just did not know where the source of this money would come from, right? But I was like, I made a decision, I'm gonna stick to it, right? So throughout this time frame, I'm meditating, I'm having faith, I'm praying to God. And he also let me know, you need to journal, you need to write things down. So I would listen to like meditation music, and I would write things down, like write down, I'm so happy and grateful now that I was able to take Dutton on a cruise. I'm so happy and grateful because the food on the cruise is so good. Like, I'm just really into it, right? Fast forward, I was able to pay for the cruise. My man got on the cruise, and that experience taught me that this is real. Our mind is real, and like our Father is God, and don't forget, he created us in his image. So the fact that he created everything with his voice and us with his hands, we're so special, meaning we have his capabilities. Like God can make things happen. And even when Jesus left the earth, he told us we're gonna do far more things than him, far more miracles. So we are powerful. Like, we have something in us that God ordained in us, and we need to use it. And whenever you have faith can actually move mountains. I am a living example of what faith can do. And the thing about God, whenever he provides, he will continue to provide. Like, whenever he gives you something, he will continue to, every little thing that comes with it, he's gonna take care of it. You get me? All right, so y'all basically know at this point, I'm heavy on manifesting, I'm heavy on faith, I'm heavy on meditation. I'm just heavy on, like, faith is the biggest one. I'm just really heavy on faith, and I'm really heavy that God is on my side, right? Okay. Cool. So around that time frame, I'm like, if I could take my man on a cruise and pay for it and have extra money, I'm like, maybe I should actually start taking apartment shopping seriously. Like, maybe I should go out and try to get an apartment that I actually love, right? I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and do it. So I wanted to make sure I invited God into what I'm doing. One thing, guys, whenever you're doing something, don't just say, oh my gosh, God, I have this problem, God, I'm so stressed, God. And he's listening to it, and he's like, I know, yeah, I saw that, I know. What you need to do is invite him, because our Father is always knocking at the door. He's always wanting to help you, but because you have free will, you need to invite him into whatever it is that you need him there for. Like, invite him and everything will change. I promise. Like, invite God into your problems, your burdens, into your faith situations, and you will see how everything does a 360. Okay, I'm like, okay, God, at this point, me and God are like this. We're buddies. I'm talking to God like I'm talking to you. Like, we're just buddy, right? So I'm talking to God, making sure I include him in everything. I'm like, you know what, God, I'm gonna go after an apartment. And there was this one apartment that I really liked, but I'm really big on customer service. Whenever I called, they would like answer, but they would never fully schedule me for a tour. And I'm just like, I want to go and start touring apartments, because the thing with manifesting and having faith, you need to try to imagine yourself in the space. You get me? And so if you want, like, for it to be more real, what's the best way to do that? Going to tour the apartment. So I'm calling around, you know, seeing apartments that I like, asking for tours. But there was this one apartment that I really loved, Florida Ceiling, but it was so expensive. I'm like, girl, this is definitely doable, but not right now. Let's not even do that. You don't even need this. You feel me? So one thing that kept happening is I kept finding apartments, but it just didn't feel right. I just didn't love them. Like, I would like them, but then I would just not really want to like I'm the type of person, I want to have the feeling of, this one is it, like, this is the one, you feel me? And I just was not getting that. So I'm like, you know what, let me just keep looking. But I was getting really discouraged. Like, I took like a good month to try to just look online for an apartment and schedule tours, but for some reason I never made it to those tours. Like, I just didn't. But the main thing was, I just couldn't find an apartment that my whole being was happy with. You get me? Because I work from home, I need to be able to be happy at whatever place we choose. So I can't just downgrade and go to a place that I know I don't like the floors, I don't like the bathroom, I don't like the lighting, I don't like the area. You get me? Like, I need to be 100% comfortable. Okay, so basically one day my man and I, we were driving to a grocery store. I can't tell you the grocery store, but we were driving to a grocery store, and we saw an apartment complex right in front of the grocery store. And he was like, what about these apartments? I looked and I'm like, they don't look too bad. I've actually never seen them here, because I've never seen those apartments ever ever in life. Like I never did, right? So I'm like, okay, let me just go ahead and look them up. So I go and look the apartments up. And y'all, I was like, okay, it looks good. Kids, modern. Okay, it looks good, but I still wasn't getting that feeling of like, oh my gosh, this is the apartment. You get me? So I completely just never went back to those apartments. Like I never even remember the name. Like I was done with those apartments. And I was just in a place of frustration because I couldn't find anything. And I really wanted to just plan and get started on the process of moving and looking for an apartment. So like I said, that place is not it. Anyways, I'm looking, and I just got to a point where I wanted to just give up, and so I would not look anymore. And one day, I remember one day, oh my gosh, the vision is coming to me right now. I was in my room. I was walking through the door in my mom's house in my room. I was walking through that room door, and something in my head told me, go look again. So I'm like, hold on, this voice is different. Like this voice is like demanding but yet angelic, and like it's like whatever the voice says you're gonna do. You get me? So I go on my computer and I go look, and I see this apartment. I am absolutely in love with this apartment. This apartment is so beautiful. It's perfect. It has everything that I need. It has high ceilings, a beautiful huge island. It has modern everything. It is a beautiful community in a great area. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is it. Like how come I didn't see this place before? And then I go to see the pictures of the outside of the apartment, and I'm like, this is the apartment that my man showed me, that I said I'm not even gonna look at it again because it looks nice, but it's not what I want. Remember I told you guys that a voice spoke to me and told me to look again? I strongly believe that was the voice of God or the voice of one of God's angels. It was something angelic, because whenever you want something in life and you're not the smartest person, you're not the person that knows anything, you're just you. So you're gonna go based off senses, based off whatever you know, your limited knowledge, right? But whenever God steps in, he shows you the reality. God showed me the beauty in this apartment. He opened my eyes and he demanded, hey, go look again. And when I went on apartments.com, that was the very first apartment that showed up. The way that God works is insane. So I see this apartment and I'm absolutely in love. I'm like, I need to make an appointment. Like I have to schedule a tour right this instant. And something I wanted to explain is when I first saw this apartment, it was just nice. But when God opened my eyes and allowed me to see it again, it was a beautiful apartment. Like it was like I could finally see like everything that I was looking for was in that apartment. And it's like, this is what God can do. He can open your eyes to the truth. And it's crazy how my perspective of the place was so different when it was just my own vision and God's vision. This apartment was different, and I knew that for sure. So I'm like, okay, girl, let's go and schedule a tour. So I call, and nicest customer service ever. I'm like, I want to schedule a tour. They scheduled me. Okay, cool, right? So I'm driving. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe. So this is like the day of the tour. So I'm driving and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like this is the grocery shop and this is the apartment. I'm like, I actually didn't even see the beauty, the obvious beauty of this apartment until God told me, go look again. Like God knows you so well. Like God knows me so well. He's like, Daphne, this is your aesthetic. This is your vibe. This is perfect for you. Go look again. And the fact that he just opened my eyes, I'm never gonna get over that. But my camera keeps tripping. I don't know. I think I'm gonna switch cameras, y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Y'all, I kid you not, my dog just doo-dooed all over my room. As you guys know, I stopped recording to change the camera, and I'm like, what am I smelling? Let me go check on the dog, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm smelling. And he diarrheaed all over my room. Like, so I had to go walk him, so he had to finish his little session, and then I had to clean up the entire room like 4 times and disinfect it with Clorox and Lysol. Like, oh my God. Yeah, I called, I scheduled a tour. I'm excited. And don't forget, I told you guys the main reason for tours is so I could actually envision myself staying there, right? And they had great customer service, and that's really what I look for, because you have to give your future tenants the most respect because you want them to live in your community. So that means you have to apply your best customer service, your best everything to them. And if you can't do that over the phone to schedule a tour, oh no, the tenants that are living in a property are miserable. You get me? So that's exactly how I think. So the fact that they had great customer service, yeah. Anyways, the day of the tour comes, and leading up to the day of the tour, I'm already praying to God. God has assured me that this is the apartment for me. I'm already knowing this, and so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write it down in my notes. At first in my journal, I had a different apartment name on there, but I ended up scratching it out and I put this apartment name on there instead, because I'm like, this one is the one, right? Okay, so I'm basically like ready for the tour, and I go for the tour. The girl is super friendly, like she's acting like we've been to each other, you get me? So I go and tour the apartment. I absolutely love it. It is so modern. Like, I love the pool. There's a lake with a waterfall. Not only that, but the elevators were nice and huge, and everything smells amazing. The thing about this property is everything smells amazing. But like, to sum it up, I absolutely loved the tour. Like, I loved the tour, right? So you know how for every tour the property manager has to ask for your ID so they could ID you, you get me? Girl or boy, how about they asked for my ID, right? And then I went and I toured and everything, and it wasn't until I was driving back I remembered I don't have my ID with me. And I'm like, that is so weird. Like, what? How could I forget to get my ID? I'm like, whatever, let me go ahead and text the girl, because she already told me I could text her. Like, that's how comfortable I got with her. She's like, girl, go ahead and text me, you get me? So I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and text her, let her know I left my ID, right? So we could have easily been like, okay, come get it, you could go ahead and come get it. She's like, okay, oh my gosh, this never ever happens. Normally we always give the ID back. One thing about God, when he's working, nothing is normal, okay? He works outside of anything that we know. He makes things happen that has never happened before for his child. Y'all, when she told me this has never happened before, I'm like, you know what? This is not a bad thing. This is a good thing. This is a God thing, because my spirit wasn't like I wasn't worried about my ID, you get me? Like, I was completely fine. I'm like, they got the ID, that's cool. Like, I know there's a reason why God allowed me to leave my ID, you get me? It's like, as soon as I gave it to her, nobody was thinking about ID anymore, okay? So I'm like, you know what? Cool, all right, that's no problem. And she was like, I could come get it. She start work at 9 tomorrow. So I'm like, okay, 9 o'clock tomorrow. So the next day I'm driving, like 8:45 I leave my house. 9 o'clock I'm there, and every single time I get to the property, y'all, I just am in love. Like, I get like a nice warm feeling, right? So I get there and a guy greets me. He's like, hi, how are you? I'm like, I'm good, I'm here because I left my ID. So you would think she would just put it in a random place, right? Like, or like a place anybody would know, like, hey, by the way, if anybody would ever leave anything, I'll put it here. But no, the guy looks everywhere. He's like, what's your name? I'm like, Daphne Smith. The guy looks everywhere, cannot find my ID to save his life. So I'm texting her, she's not replying, and he's texting her and she's not replying. So he was like, you know what, she's already supposed to be at work, so she's gonna be here very soon, okay? So thinking back to it, if she had replied, all she would have done was tell him where the ID is, and he would have gotten it and given it to me, and I would just went home, right? She did not answer. And at this moment, I had confirmation that God was actually on my manifesting journey with me. Because remember, I told you guys I took a break, and I'm like, God, if you're not in this, I don't want to do this. So the fact that she didn't answer, and guess what the guy said? The guy was like, all right, she should be here any second now, but do you want to go ahead and get some coffee? Something in me told me, say yes, Daphne, say yes. I'm like, okay, y'all. As I'm taking the steps to get the coffee, y'all, God is telling me, this is your chance. Envision yourself here. Envision yourself waking up, going to get coffee. Envision yourself really taking the scent of the place, so you could have something to meditate on, to remind yourself on, this is your goal. Envision yourself, like, this is the time. Envision yourself. I'm like, y'all, yeah, I felt like I was in a movie. I'm like, and I feel like it was around that time frame where the phrase God is crazy came from, because that's just insane. Like, okay, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna envision myself here. So I really, like, no phones. I put everything down. Well, I took my phone out for something, but I'm gonna talk about that later. But I took everything down, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna envision myself here, like, as God wants me to do. And y'all, all of this, like, I'm going to the tour and everything, like, we don't qualify. Like, I'm never gonna lie to you, like, we just do not qualify. Like, my income is very unstable. Like, you get me? It's like some months I'll qualify, other months I just would not. And none of my stuff is organized. Like, it's just all a mess. But I'm like, you know what? God is standing behind me. So I have to do this. Like, I have to at least try, and I have to go with full faith so I could know that at least I tried and I did my best. You get me? So, okay, after that tour, I completely understood what God was doing. And that's why I say I've never had such an intimate relationship with God. Like, it's like when he was doing something, he was telling me what he was doing as he was doing it. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like he wanted me to be on this journey with him, and like I just did not feel like I was forgotten. Like he took care of me. Like, it's like whenever I went to tour, I was not by myself. Do you get me? Like, I literally genuinely felt like I had a presence with me. This part is funny, but kind of like, I want to say it. So when I was done getting my ID and my coffee and everything, I was gonna go to my car, and I stopped and I looked around, and I was in communication with God without me even talking to him. I just know he was listening to me. I was like, this is me right here, isn't it, God? This is so me. Anyways, I'm driving home, called my man, he's not picking up. So God was like, talk to me. Don't listen to gospel, talk to me. So the whole ride home, baby, I even had to do gas on the way home, and I'm doing gas while talking to God. Like, I'm talking to you like a actual conversation. So between that time and like me applying, the in-between time, I'm gonna just tell you guys some occurrences that happened and that really made it set in stone that this was my apartment. Like, God knows me, and he knows I need a bit more convincing than the average person, especially since I was very, very new to the whole faith thing, the whole manifesting thing. Like, so God caters to you based on what you need, and that's something that I've learned. Like, none of us are the same, and so God knows specifically each and every single one of us what he needs to do to make us have faith, to make us prosper. Like, God just knows, right? My same gym is right next to the apartment. I switched locations. I promise y'all, I started going to that gym. Every single time I got out of that gym, I would look at the apartment and just imagine myself in there. I was not playing, y'all. I started doing groceries in that area. I started doing things in that area that normally I would not. So basically, I was just imagining myself already staying there. Like, and I had to make my physical reality catch up, because baby, in here we're already staying here, but in my reality it wasn't the case. Whenever I would go shopping, I'll literally look out the window and be like, man, this is God's promise to me. You get me? Like, all this is happening. I told my mom, I showed my mom pictures of the apartment without me even applying, without me even knowing their specific qualifications, without me even knowing if they would accept an influencer in the apartment complex. I applied. I showed my mother pictures. They gave me a floor plan. When I went on a tour, I hung it up on my wall. It was just, I was always being reminded of God's promise, and I was taking it so serious because he spoke to me so clearly. So one day I was coming back from the gym, I think, and something told me, just go past by the front, just go past by the leasing office, right? During that time, my car had an issue where it would randomly stop with me, but it stopped doing it for a whole week. So like, it was fine. Like, it just hasn't done it for a week, and normally if it does it, it would continue doing it every single day. So it just hasn't done it for a week. So I'm like, you know, I'm okay, my car is cool. So I go, and I'm driving slow. I'm driving by the sign. I drive in front of the leasing office, and y'all, guess what? My car stops with me in front of the leasing office. Now, normally when my car stops with me, I'm like, oh my God. I call my man. I'm like, baby, what do I do? Or like, I would remember what he tells me to do, and I would actually do it, but I'm just worried, right? Whenever God is doing something, or whenever he did something for me in that situation, he always let me know it was him, because automatically it wasn't me. Like, whenever the car stopped, this reaction wasn't mine. I laughed. The car stopped in front of the leasing office door. I laughed. After I laughed, it was like I was in constant connection with God. It's like he just let me know this was him, and I was like, this was you, huh? And I just felt an agreement from him. And right after that, I did the push to start, and my car started again, and I went on my way. Called my man and told him, like, my God is so funny. But it's like throughout my journey, because God knows who I am and he knows I need reassurance constantly, he would do little things like that, but to me they were huge. You get me? Like, that's not normal at all. And the fact that God's so busy would worry about maintaining my faith So I remember one day I went to Aldi and I got myself, because I'm like, I know I'm gonna live there and everything like that, but I'm like, I want to take it a step further. I want to get furniture for my new apartment. I went to Aldi. I got this plant right here, very beautiful. I got this, and I'm like, this is for my apartment. And I also got this candle. These had stayed in my mom's house for a good 4 or 5 months. I did not like this candle, and I did not use this. It was just in a random place in my room. Like, of course I've been using it now because God is good, I'm here, but I completely set in stone that these are for my new apartment, and I would imagine where I would put them, and I put them exactly where I wanted to put them in my head, like exactly where, which is insane. For now, I'm gonna leave them in a frame because I want you guys to see, like, be reminded of what God can do, baby. I took steps in my physical world to show God that I trust him, and I'm so happy I did, because now he can't really turn back on his word. I've told my Haitian mother, father, I hope you know this is too real. Like, we cannot change the outcome that you promised me, you get me? And so, okay, the time comes to apply, y'all. This application was followed with so much prayer, like so much, just like, I needed to make sure God was with me. I journaled all the time. Like, I could even show you in my journal where I said I live at this place. Well, I can't show you because it says the name, but in my journal I says I live at this place. I'm so happy that I live at this place. So it was time for the devil's not about to take my flower away. Ironically enough, my man got a raise before the time for the application. It was exactly 3 months before, and oh my gosh, I didn't even tell you guys, I started getting brand deals like crazy. My channel started flourishing like crazy, and my business was going off. Like, all of this is happening. God is giving my man a raise. My business is getting traction. All of this is happening in God's plan. Like, I was a bit stressed because everything was all over the place, but at the same time, I was making the money. He was making the money. Man, we were overqualified. It's not until I put all of my finances together and he did the same that we're like, let's apply. Okay, so the day for us to apply, I remember I went to church before. God spoke to me and he said, before you step out of the car, like when you're parked in front of the leasing office, pray to me and ask me for a favor. I was like, okay, God, noted, I'm gonna do that, right? So I made sure to remember, like, if I could remember anything that day, it was me remembering to ask God for a favor before walking out office. I could forget to brush my teeth. I could forget to breathe, baby. I'm not gonna forget to ask God for a favor. Okay, so the day comes for us to apply. Like, I'm nervous, my man is nervous, but like, we know God is literally with us, and we were in a spirit of love and worship. Like, we were just, you get me? Like, we're good. So it took like a 1 minute and 30-second break of prayer to ask for a favor as he requested, right? And so we go inside. When we go inside, we see a gentleman and we tell him we want to come for a tour. And then he said, okay, somebody's gonna give you a tour really soon. So a lady came out. She had just came to work. Remember that, y'all. She had just came to work. Okay, so I'm like, you know what, okay, cool. So we go, we're touring it. She loves us, absolutely loves us. Like, she's talking about how I'm the aesthetics and Dudson is like the smarts, because my man is very smart, and like anybody that meets him would see that. Like, he's just very smart. Whenever he speaks, he's very knowledgeable. And the tour was mostly for my man to see the place, because he never seen it. He was just blindly trusting me, and I'm like, baby, you think you need to go so you could look at what guys look at, you feel me? Like, are the walls gonna collapse on me? Like, whatever guys be looking at when they go on tours, look at that, because I've already looked at the aesthetics. I love it, I approve. God loves it, God approves. Like, I just need to make sure that you know you love it too, because you're gonna be staying here too, boy. But basically, everything was done, the tour was done. She looked at us and she was like, oh, I love you guys. I'm like, oh, thank you. And she looks at me and she says, you remind me of exactly how my daughter would be when she grows up. Remember when I asked God for a favor? I cannot. This was my first time meeting this lady. She's so sweet, by the way. I love her. I wrote a review about her. I just really appreciate her. But this is my very first time meeting her. She told me I remind her of her daughter. So if she's already putting me in a position where she's my mother, what do parents do? They care about their kids, okay? So I'm like, she's gonna take great care of me. I'm like, I'm in the best hands, because before, when I first saw her, she looked a bit mean, you get me? But I'm like, you know what, This is who God wanted us to be with. This is who God wanted to tour us and everything. So she said that it just completely connected to the fact that God asked me to ask him for a favor. It just completely connected, right? So I'm too excited, too geeked. Like, nobody could have processed this. Nobody could have came up with this plan, y'all. And remember how I told, oh my gosh, remember how I told you guys I took some time to pray, and when I walked in, she had just came. She had just came to work. Guess what? I feel like if we did not take that minute and 30 seconds to pray, we would have gotten somebody else to tour it. Somebody that maybe is not too caring about us. Somebody that does not love us in our relationship and our dynamic. Like, God is just so, oh my goodness. God is so good. God is so real. And this was the very first encounter I ever had with him. But we haven't even applied yet, y'all. So let me get to that, okay? And I'm going to speed it up a bit because I know I've been like a bit slow. But it's because I really want you guys to understand, like, God had a sense of purpose when he was doing all these things, like, and it all made sense to me because I'm very observant. The lady told me I remind her of her daughter, okay? Anyways, so we were like, we love the place, we would love to apply, right? So we go, we're applying. They treat us with the most hospitality. Like, they actually forgot about us. Like, it's a thing with them where God allows them to forget us. So we got a chance to be all over, baby. We was all over the place. We was getting coffee. We were getting coffee. We was walking around looking at the bathroom. She was like, I'm gonna ask for a special discount for you guys. And then we were applying, and she came back. She's like, okay, the manager approved the discount, but we're not 100% sure yet, but she approved it, okay? So we're like, thank you so much. Like, I'm so grateful for her. I would think after I got through the hard part, which is going there and applying and everything, I would think the rest would be easier because, like, a lot of pressure has been off of us and we basically did our part. Now it's just time for God to work. So I'm like, okay, once you apply, upload all of our documents, it's just time for God to work. So we're basically done. You get me? That's what I thought, babes. I was so wrong. Oh my gosh. So I remember I got a call and it was from the manager, okay? She's spicy, okay? But like I said, she's very spicy. So she's calling me. She's like, hey, I don't understand this document. You need to have this notarized because I have my own business. She's like, you need to have this notarized. I need proof of this. Okay, I need this to be rearranged a certain way. I don't get what, like, everything you sent me. I don't understand the organization of it. But she's like, okay, I really want to approve you guys, but you have to go ahead and send it to me the right way. But when I tell you I was speechless on that phone, my heart just like this, palpitating, boop, boop. Boop 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 boop, because I'm like, what is happening? What is going on? What is this? My world was just silence, and I'm hearing her going, and I'm like, oh my God. And then I called my man and I'm like, babe, she's saying she needs this, and I put them on a three-way call, and my man took care of that call. My man just completely graciously took care of that call, took care of everything that she asked for. He's like, okay, and I'm just quiet. I'm speechless. I don't understand why she's coming at us so, I'm like, I didn't expect it at all. I thought whenever you're doing something with God, it's supposed to be smooth, right? After that phone call, I'm crying. I'm breaking down. I'm crying. I'm like, oh no, that she doesn't understand what we sent her. I need to get this notarized. I don't know what notarizing is. Like, I don't know what to do. This is not supposed to go this way. What is happening? It's like all of my peace, all of my like faith, all of it just like collapsed. And so I'm so happy that God kept my man together, and God used my man to console me. My man was like, babe, we did not come this far for you to just give up, because the natural instinct of me was like, Daphne, just let it go. This is too much, like too much worry, anxiety, stress. Like, just let it go. Like, the lady called you, she sounds super serious. You don't know what she's asking you for. You don't know how you're even gonna do it. Like, just let it go. My man is like, babe, we're gonna do this. You got me hooked with this apartment. I love it. We're gonna do this. He's like, we qualify. All we have to do is organize whatever she asked for. We've got this, right? So we applied the beginning of December, like December 9th. The week after that, we didn't even get approved yet. Normally it takes 2 to 3 days for you to get approved. A week after that, we did not get approved. 2 weeks after that, I'm calling them, asking them, hey, what do you guys need? Blah, blah, blah. They're telling me, I'm sending stuff. They're like, okay, can you revise this? Can you get this notarized? Blah, blah, blah. I'm doing everything they're asking me for. 3 weeks later, we did not get approved. I'm like, where is this approval? This was a complete test of my faith, of my patience. And I'm like, God is teaching me to be patient, but God, this is painful. I have no backup plan. This is my only plan. I trust in you, but I don't understand what you're doing. And during this time frame, I started watching Pastor T.D. Jakes, and he I remember a message specifically one day that I listened to, and he basically said, when God is doing something, it's not gonna make sense. And he was like, this is how you know when God is in the works of something, when it doesn't go your way, when it doesn't go in a straight line, when whatever you're going through does not make any sense. God is in it. That's how you know God is in it. I'm like, you know what? That's exactly what I needed to hear, because Father, only you know what's going on. Only you know why they're taking so long to approve me. At one point, I got in a huge fight with my mother, and I just needed to get out of the house. And I'm like, bro, let me go ahead and call them one last time so I can know their status, whether they approve me or deny me. Let me just go ahead and call them. And by the way, I wanted to tell you guys too, when the manager called and she was like, snappy, 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 I completely got like unhooked to the building, to the apartment. Like I got unhooked to it. Like it's like before I was obsessed with it to the point where it was kind of like idolatry, because God promised me this, and so I love it so much, you get me? But it doesn't matter if God promised you something, you should never idolize anything. And I feel like that was a lesson. I feel like that had to happen, because after the lady was like this at me, I just wanted to stay here because my father promised me. That was the main reason now. Like, it's beautiful and everything, but I stopped driving and like staring at the building. Whenever I was shopping, I would stop staring. Like, I would glance and that's it. Like, you get me? Like, I didn't idolize it anymore, because that's very unhealthy. When God is getting ready to give you something, he wants to make sure you're prepared no matter what. And that's exactly what happened with me, y'all. Anyways, so like I said, I got to a point where I called and I wanted to get out of my mama's house so bad, because we got into an argument. I'm like, hey, I was wondering what's the status for the approval of the apartment, you know what I'm saying? Like every single time I talk to them, I said, what's the status on the approval? What's the status of the approval? On the approval? On the approval? I would never say, what is the status of our application? No, I said, what is the status on our approval? Like I needed, like I don't know, I'm just speaking it into existence, putting it in their brains. I don't know, that's just how I talk. Like, I don't know why, like, I just said approval all the time. But y'all, one day I was recording me cutting my hair, and I got a call from her. So I knew we had done everything that they asked us. It took like 3.5 weeks, y'all, instead of 3 days, bro. Like, oh, one day I'm doing my hair and I'm getting a call from the property, and I'm like, okay, they're calling me. Like they've never called me. They've always emailed me, or they, you know what I'm saying? Like they're calling me, so I pick up. Alexa, stop streaming. And I'm like, hi, whatever her name is. And I was like, hi, I'm gonna say Jessica. I'm like, hi, Jessica. She's like, hi, are you ready to live in your new home? I was like, I got approved. And she was like, yes. I screamed. So much got lifted off of me. And I feel like that moment, I won for the very first time in a long time. I felt like I was on top of the world. I jumped like a little baby and I could not stop. And I forgot to tell you guys, a few days before that, God told me to go to the store and get some congratulation balloons. I got them. The balloons were almost deflated. I'm gonna show you a picture if I have it, but the balloons were almost deflated. It's like, the day that she called me, congratulating me, they had just enough like helium in them for them to actually be balloons, you get me? So all I could think was, God, you did it. All I could think was, God, you did it. Like, You fulfilled your promise. Like, the joy that I felt, and I called my man and I told him, he's super happy. Like, but that's basically how God gave me my dream apartment. And remember before when I went and I applied for an apartment with Daryl, the property manager at the first place that I told you we were gonna settle for, but we decided not to? Before we applied to the apartment that I'm in now, it's like we had temptation the best and worst way possible. Daryl sent me a personal email advertising a bigger 1-bedroom for a cheaper price, like way cheaper, and there's a 1 month free sale going on. Like, it was crazy temptation because we love Daryl. Like, we absolutely love Daryl so much. So I was like, babe, we can't look at any other apartments, we can't entertain anything because this is what God has promised me. So yeah, that was my story of how God gave me my apartment. I have come a long way to be here, and it's like I'm super grateful. Days where I'm sad, or days where I'm overworked, or days where I'm just stressed about anything, I just look on my balcony and I remember myself parked across the street looking at the complex and saying I'm gonna live there one day. And the fact that I'm looking at where I used to park at, God is too good. Like, God is crazy. Like, whenever I say that, just know it's the most positive thing you'll ever hear. Like, God is just insane. Anyways, the main reason why I needed an apartment that I absolutely loved was so I could make content, I could make vlogs for you guys, and I could really get up close and personal, because I just love the idea of vlogging and just doing that as a living. So if you guys want to see more vlogs from me, more videos about whatever, again, the manifesting thing, I could also talk about that. But if you guys want to see anything, let me know. And don't forget to subscribe. I am on the road to 1,000 subscribers. That's not too much to ask, right, y'all? But thank you so much for watching this. I truly appreciate it. It was a longer video, but as you guys can see, it was well worth it. If you're watching this and you're on a journey and you don't know how the outcome is gonna be or how you could accomplish it, just put God first. As you guys can see, I invited God into my situation. Well, he basically led me, but it's the fact that I was open and willing to have faith where I couldn't see, and I trusted him. If you're going through whatever you're going through, I pray healing for you. I pray victory for you, and you've got this. Okay, I love you, and I'm gonna see you guys in my next one. Bye.